Hey guys, this is Martin from Martin's Liquid Lab, just doing a quick little pre-testing video for the kit fans that I'm testing. I am going to compare the four kits that I've tested thermally so far, and I did some noise testing, but I'm going to work on putting them on the fan test rig so I can kind of take a closer look at fan performance without all the other stuff. And for comparison purposes, I took the previous king of my 50 plus fan round, the Servo Nidec Gentle Typhoon AP15 as my baseline. A fan can beat the Gentle Typhoon on a radiator. That's saying a lot. It's really kind of a outlier as far as performance goes on radiators. The Gentle Typhoon is. So it's a really good fan and a really hard fan to beat. So I look forward to something beating the Gentle Typhoon. And the comparison is with the XSPC Zenrulian, the Corsair H100i fan, which is kind of a value version of their SP model, their high performance SP model. Then I've got the SwiftTech Helix, BWM capable, and the Larkooler Ice Sky 300. And let me adjust the focus a little bit so I can just kind of zoom in and give you some close-up detail. Okay, so this is the Gentle Typhoon AP15. It is, I said, my previous best performer on a radiator. It does have a very large hub, larger than all the other four fans being tested. It also has dual ball bearing construction, so it has really low resistance on the bearing. The frame is fairly heavy duty, I think, compared to the others. A little bit heavier duty than most, maybe about the same thickness and frame as the XSPC, but it does have the largest hub. The wiring is just bare wire, 3-pin though. You do not get PWM control out of this fan. It is for voltage control only. And it does have, they called it, you can look it up on Servo's website, kind of a double noise isolation of the motor. Maybe that's part of how this is larger. It has an inner kind of bearing, a metal bearing cap, and then the fan blade, the plastic portion is also isolated with another layer of air supposed to help kill noise. You can kind of see some of that inside there where there's kind of a waffle cone on the motor hub, and it is unfortunately just a 3-pin fan. It's too bad these don't come with PWM. The frame is fairly circular, semi-open corners, but kind of difficult to get to. You can slide a nut in there for tightening down, but no sleeving, 3-pin only, large hub. Next one is the XSPC, and it's, kind of first impression, it is a heavier duty frame. I think it may have even about the same frame thickness as the Gentle Typhoon. So it's probably kind of overall pretty heavy, maybe not quite as heavy duty as the Gentle Typhoon, but fairly heavy duty, larger hub. Again, not quite as big a hub as the Gentle Typhoon, but fairly large. and a little heavier duty generally feeling than your typical value fan. Definitely heavier duty in frame than the other three. Of course, they're a Helix or the Larkooler. It does come, I would say it's got the best long cable with sleeving of all the fans here, but it does only have 3-pin voltage control, so no PWM on this one. It does seem like a pretty well built fan, other than the sticker being off center there. It does seem fairly stout. Next is the Corsair H100i fan, which has a similar hub size as the XSPC, not quite as large as the Gentle Typhoon. It also has the, I don't understand why they did this, but it's got the open corners, so you actually kind of have a little bit of a leak there on a radiator that some air can get. Step, it's pressurizing the air between the fan and the radiator. They call it SP for S pressure, and so when you pressurize the air, you are getting some air blowing around this frame, which I don't think is a very good design. I don't know why they have this opening here. I mean, on a heat sink, it probably doesn't matter so much. On a radiator, I bet you are losing a little bit of performance around the open sides there. But the fan seems fairly dense. You can hardly see through it. It is more pressure oriented, so they are following their naming convention there. And it's not a sleeved cable, but it is a black cable, which is almost as good. Not quite as nice as real sleeving, but certainly better than like the Gentle Typhoon's wiring, which is going to stand out and look really bad if you don't do some sleeving or something with it, whereas the Corsair black wires is actually going to hide pretty well. So not quite sleeving, but black at least. And it does have PWM 4-pin, so that's nice. I'm not sure where they designed the fan, but there is, some kind of similar gap between the metal and the fan frame. Not quite like you can see there with the Gentle Typhoon, but something kind of similar. So I think they are trying to isolate some noise between the metal and the plastic. So I guess that's about all I have to say about the Corsair H100i S fan, which is a value version of the SP model. Does not have the rubber corners like the SP model, and does not have the colored removable insert on the frame, but it does seem to have the same, probably the same bearing motor and fan blade, electronics and all of that, so it should perform a lot like an SP model minus the rubber inserts, which may or may not do a whole lot. I've certainly done some testing in the past with the rubber frames, and I didn't see that much difference with them, but they're not a bad idea, at least to decouple the frame of the fan a little bit from the hard surface you're mounting to. So that's the Corsair H100 fan. This is the Swiftech Helix PWM. It comes factory with the Swiftech H220 all-in-one expandable cooler, and it looks, at first glance, it kind of looks a lot like the Gentle Typhoon, but it's quite a bit different. You can see, not only the color difference, which I do like the white frame and, the white blade and the black frame. It actually looks pretty nice. I do like that. But the hub is more of a value sized hub, kind of smaller motor, which is may not be a bad thing for noise, but just doesn't have that same Gentle Typhoon quality feel to it. Also, you can see kind of the gap between the blade and the frame is really tight on the Gentle Typhoon, where it's pretty large between the helix blade in the frame, and the plastic hub is basically right on the magnet to the stator, and it's going to have a smaller motor in there compared to something like the Gentle Typhoon or the XSPC. Kind of got a more value-oriented hub size, but that may not be a bad thing. You never know till you test it. Frame is a little heavier duty. It is kind of an open corner, so it's pretty easy to get to for shorter screws and that kind of thing. They actually mount the fan to the H220 with short screws in, out of the box, so that all you have to do is then screw the fans to your case to mount the radiator combo. So I do like the helix fan. Just seems a little bit lower in build quality than the Gentle Typhoon. Then we have the Larkooler, which this fan came with the iSky 300 Larkooler kit. It is the only fan that came with LEDs. It has white LEDs on all four corners. And it is the lightest fan of the bunch, probably about half the weight of the Gentle Typhoon. It is also the only fan using kind of a transparent plastic, kind of a smoked clear, I guess. LED, like I said, the light does come out of the four corners. As far as wiring goes, it is just I don't know, I guess it's not as bad as the Gentle Typhoon with the regular colored wires, but it's a clear plastic coating over silver wiring and 3-pin only. The frame is definitely kind of the most flimsy feeling, but that may or may not relate to performance at all. Just first impression. It does look like a nice fan, though. I like the way it looks. It's not hideous in color. It's not a flesh colored fan or some super bright color of sorts. It's just kind of a nice smoked clear with white LEDs, which is not bad. The LEDs are not really my thing, but I mean, a lot of people like to have LEDs, so it does work. So those are the fans I'm going to test, and I'll get to testing them on my fan test bench and report back. We'll see. Gentle Typhoon was the reigning champion of the radiator testing. We'll see, can it continue to hold its crown, or one of these new kit contenders going to give it a run for its money when mounted to a radiator. We'll see.